Game Design Zen, episode 18.
Welcome back to Game Design Zen. I, of course, am Curtis Murphy, and this is the intersection of games, life, and the pursuit of excellence. Maybe you're just starting out in this crazy business, or maybe you have the wisdom that comes from weathering all those storms. Either way, we can all learn more about the art, the science, and the business, so we can level up to Zen.
Well, hello, my friends. We are doing some new things today. As you can see, we are recording a video. We'll see how this works out. Maybe it makes it into the final episode, and maybe it does not. This is going to be something new for me. Always trying to push myself and the boundaries of what I'm doing and what I'm accomplishing in my life. Always trying to level up myself to Zen. So the other day, I got a letter from Kenzai. And you may remember Kenzai because he had sent in a comment all the way back in the beginning, maybe on around episode 3 or 4, about the way that I communicated to you. And that helped me to improve. And this time, Kenzai said, "Doing great. You're kicking butt, Curtis. Keep it up. Love the podcast." Obviously, he's still here because that was episode 3. And here we are on episode, whatever number we're on. Maybe it's 18. Kenzai's question at this point was, could you take some time to focus on the business side of it? What does it actually mean to start a business and to run a business? And since we don't talk about that very often, I thought, it is the art, the science, and the business of building games. Well, maybe we'll just straight up talk about what does it mean to build a business. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Some of you out there are like me, and you may have this moment where you're laying awake at night and you've been frustrated. You've got this feeling. Maybe it's here in your heart. Maybe it's up in your head, this longing, yearning. You know that you could be doing something different, that you could be doing something more, and you could be pushing yourselves, and you're not feeling it with what you're currently doing. And like me, you may find yourself laying awake at night, staring up at the ceiling, and talking to your wife. And in my case, there was a moment. I must have been pretty grumpy at this point because my wife finally got to the point where she said, "Just do it already. Just do it." And I said, "Are you sure? Really?" She said, "Just do it. Millions of people have done it. Do it. Give it a try and see what happens." And I remember that night because that night was almost exactly 5 years ago. And it was the day that I decided to create GG Games. Now, GG Games is my business. That's my indie business. That's the business that I created on the side in addition to what I'm already doing. Now, I have a day job. I build training games for a living, as you know. So this is on the side. This is above and beyond. This was me pushing out. And she said, "Just do it." So if you're on that fence and you're sitting there right now and you're not sure if you can or you can't or you should or you shouldn't, and what does it mean? This episode is for you. Because I took that advice from my wife and I did it. I went to Game Developers Conference. I learned everything I could about other indie developers. What does it mean to be an indie? I read hundreds of articles and books. And then I actually did it. So this episode is going to be a few tips that I learned from 5 years of running my own business. And let's get started right away. My first topic is, I don't know whether to call it money or just start your business. I'm not really sure. Let's call topic 1, start your business. There are lots of ways to start a business, and I don't know which country you're in. I know some of you and some of my friends out there are in other countries like Australia or Great Britain, um, Poland, Germany. There's a whole bunch of indie scenes all over the world. I'm in the United States on the East Coast, specifically in the state of Virginia, which matters if you're going to start a business. And for me, I had enough experience that I wanted it to be a business. I didn't want it to be just me hacking stuff out and throwing over to the fence. I actually wanted to start a business. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to say, whatever your place is, maybe this next statement isn't for you. If you're at this point, though, and you're considering it and you're thinking, yeah, I'm like Curtis, I actually want this to be a business. I don't want it to just be me, Curtis Murphy posting games on iOS. No, I want it to be GG Games. So in that case, then you're going to actually want to start a business. And in the United States, the kind of business that you're going to probably want to start is called an LLC. Now, LLC stands for a limited liability corporation. And basically, it just gives me or you a small amount of protection from lawsuits. It also has a certain number of tax incentives, which you're going to talk about in just a second. And the bottom line is you're going to want to have a business. And I'll explain, this is all about finances. That's where it comes into in when it matters. It doesn't necessarily matter if you just want to build a game and put it out. iOS and Android both provide paths for that. There are some downsides to doing that. You have to expose your real name. It's not quite as professional. And the appeal may be different depending on where you are and what you're trying to do. There's nothing stopping you from making a product and getting it out. If you want to make a business, though, and I'm assuming that this is what you want to do, like Kenzai, then make a business. An LLC is very simple to make. You can do it through, there's online companies like LegalZoom. That's who I used. You can do it yourself. You can just go down and register both the state and the city that you're in, this in the United States. Other countries have very, very similar types of things. Some states, this is very cheap, and some states it's very expensive. In California, I've heard that it's upwards of $800, something to this effect. It was a very large number. And in Virginia, it's a very, very small number. It's like $25 or $50. It was a pretty small number. So that's step 1. That's our first topic. Start your business and actually start your business. Topic 2 is money. So I have heard people say that you can start a business and run a business for almost no money at all. And when I looked into it, I found that that's sort of true even in the game development space. It's sort of true. And yet it's not actually true. You do need some money if you're going to start this as a business. If it's just you and just an individual and you're just going to put a game app on Android and you already have all the technology, yeah, you can probably do this for very, very minimal. If, however, you're going to treat this as a real business, there's going to be inevitable expenses. For me, well, what did those expenses mean? Well, this was 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, 2011, late February, early March. And the iOS was the platform to be on. Nowadays, Android and iOS are doing pretty well. At the time, though, every article was saying that you had to be on iOS, that there was no point in releasing games on Android because nobody spent money on Android. This was the marketing press at the time. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. For me, my research showed that was true. That meant for me, I wanted to learn how to do iOS development. I wanted to get apps out on the mobile market. So that's what I went and targeted. I was definitely driven to do that. Well, what did that mean for me? I didn't have a Mac. Generally, I have PCs. I'm kind of agnostic. I do tend to have more experience with Windows, and that's what I have at home for gaming and other sorts of apps. So I had to buy a MacBook. That ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. For me, that was, I don't know, it was $1,500, $1,800, a backpack, a mouse, keyboard. I had to build a desk. I had to register my business. I had to use LegalZoom. I had to, let's see, of course, Unity. So I purchased a license of Unity. Nowadays, it's a lot simpler. You don't have to do that. Back then, there were features and other sorts of things that weren't provided in the Unity free edition. Now, of course, you get everything for free. So at this time and this date, I probably wouldn't make the purchase for Unity. It's just to get rid of the logo is not that important. I did purchase some plugins, some Unity assets. Even then, they were available. I purchased some books. There are books about building an LLC, building a business, and what those things mean. And those were all new to me, so I learned. I ended up purchasing a variety of tools, software. Like, for instance, I had to build cutscenes or videos, so I purchased like Sony Vegas Movie Studio, other tools like that, Sony SoundForge. I was doing audio editing in my products. I needed a microphone like this one here. I needed a website. To be a business, gotta have a website. There are some free hosting sites. You get what you pay for. I happen to use DreamHost. It's pretty small. And at the end of the year, I needed a tax attorney. All of that totaled for me out of pocket. I'm trying to remember back. I want to say it was on the order of $8,000 to $10,000. That's a lot of money. It was a lot of money to me then. It's still a lot of money to me now. And that's what I spent. Your mileage may vary. You may not need that much money. You can get away maybe different. Maybe you can do the whole thing for $1,000. Maybe you don't need Unity. Maybe you don't need a MacBook. You're still going to have to register with Apple and or if you're not doing, maybe you're doing web, well, you may have to do something with Congregate or some other platform. You need a web platform. There's still going to be some expenses that it's going to be difficult for you to get out of, especially if you're going the business route. So that's money. You need money to start a business. How much you need is dependent on how much you put into it. If you're going to be hiring, you could go vastly more expensive than what I did. I didn't hire anybody. I did all the work myself initially or with friends. Now, there is one caveat about money. The caveat about money is that once you have an actual business, if it's not just you, once you have an actual business and you're operating under this whole now premise that it's a business, GG Games is a business. It's more than just me. Even though mostly it's me, it's not entirely me. These products exist outside of me. They have a life of their own. The good thing about that is that this gives you an opportunity for write-offs. So for me, everything now that I purchase that has to do with game development, researching games, even playing games, is a write-off for what I do. What does that mean? Well, I have a day job. Whatever the income in my day job is, it's not relevant to this discussion. You certainly must be aware, though, that I'm working for a living. I'm not rich. I just live in a normal house with a wife and kids. So I have an income, and then I have a business. Now, that business has its own pluses and minuses. And the word for that, we'll talk about it in a second. The word for that is cash flow. You have money coming in, you have money going out. And every time I purchase something like this, or something like a microphone, or this webcam that I'm currently using, all of that is an expense. And that expense can be deducted from my income. And here's the note. If you already have a job and you're already making some other money, which is the best way to start a business on your own time if your company supports that and allows you to do it legally, then you can deduct these purchases like the webcam and this and even your mice and your games. Anything that you use in order to begin and developing your games and developing your products can be deducted as a business expense. That then leads to the reason of why did I need a tax attorney? Because there are caveats and rules about that. So I got a tax attorney at the end of the year, helped me with all of that. I paid him, I don't know, $300 or so, and he helped to save me thousands of dollars on my taxes because $8,000 to $10,000 gets deducted off my income. And that turns out to a significant savings. Topic number 3, products. If you don't have products and you aren't selling services, then you aren't a business. If you are just dabbling in your own time and you're working on a product for years and you're just experimenting with it and then you don't know if it's ever going anywhere, then you don't need a business because there's no income. You're not generating any income and you don't have any short-term hope of generating income. It's just you dabbling on the side. So if you want to be a business, you have to make products. Now, we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about MVPs, minimally viable products. We've talked about getting things out there, building things in 12 weeks, building products in 4 weeks, building products in a weekend. Doesn't matter. If you are building products and getting them out in the market and trying to find ways to monetize them, that is what enables you to begin calling yourself a business. And in my case, I'm not a CEO. I didn't call myself a CEO, and I dabbled to look what does an indie developer call themselves when they create a new company. I chose the word founder. I'm the founder of GG Games. I'm not the VP of something. I'm not the CEO of something. I'm not the CTO. No, it's just me. I'm the founder. Whoever I hire, whatever I do, I'm the founder. And at some point, because it's an LLC, it can grow. It's easy to transition into the other types of companies that they have, like an S Corp and a C Corp. There's other types of things. That's okay. Little caveat, if you're forming an LLC in the US, I believe it's an LLCS, not an LLC C, like a C Corp. And it's also not a sole proprietorship. It's treated as such in the tax code, and all of a sudden, things get really, really complicated. So, you need products. If you don't have them, you aren't a company. Now, here's the neat thing to me about products. So right now, if you're getting ready to start your business, or you've already recently started your business, or you're sort of thinking about it in the future, maybe one point, there's something really exciting to me about trying to figure out how to monetize. It's kind of sucky. I hated it for a long, long, long time. It was very frustrating to me. I just wanted to build cool things. And the idea of how to make money seemed almost dirty and wrong, trying to figure out how to charge my customers. Now I'm in a different place. Slowly over time, I began to learn and realize that what I do has value. If I'm building a game, I'm giving design tips, or even with this podcast, what I'm doing has value. My skills and my time and my experience, those are valuable. And that is directly leads to, hey, I have to monetize. And then it becomes a really neat and exciting process of how do I monetize? Do I put ads in? Do I charge? All of these kinds of things. And those are all topics for another day. If I were to have a monetization podcast, which I probably will at some point, the point I want you to remember is all of the studies show that the amount of income that your business makes is directly tied to the number of products that you already have on the market. So right now, let's assume you have 0 products. When you put your first product on the market, odds are 99% it's going to suck. It's not going to make any money. And whatever money you spend on it, you're not going to get back. Then you're going to make a second product. Then you're going to make a third product. Then you're going to make a fourth product and a fifth product. And every product that you make, with every one, it increases the amount of money that your products make on average. So the tip then is to not make one big product. It's instead to make lots of little products and continue to throw things out there, especially if you're working at this full time and you don't have to worry about juggling a 40-hour work week with doing something on the side. Get lots of products out there, find the ones, find the niches, shoot the little bullets. That's part of the MVP thing. Find the things that are hitting and then figure out how to monetize them. And that series of products is what enables you to actually be a company, a business. Because without the products, you aren't a business. And that, all of it, leads us up to our Zen moment for today. So if you've decided to start a business and you're like me and you're laying in your bed and your wife or your girlfriend or just you says, just do it. Or you're listening to me and Curtis says, do it. Just do it. Because life is short and you don't know unless you do it. Well, then that's the first step. You have to start your business. You have to deal with money. You have to worry about cash flow in and cash flow out. It's never really about, now I can't tell you how much money I spent each year. What I can tell you is that I have a positive cash flow. I'm in the black and I've been in the black for 3.5 years. I have more money coming in than is going out. Therefore, it's a viable business at whatever income it currently makes. And I have products. I have 9 products now across lots and lots of different platforms. I now have websites, I have podcasts, I have all kinds of different materials that make this a viable, small indie business that's being run from this bedroom here, this extra room in our house. And that all leads us up to a Zen moment. And the Zen moment that I will offer back to you is this. This is a purple cow. And I'm guessing, can you see that? If you're just listening to the audio of this, you can't see it. So I'm going to describe it. It's a tiny little stuffed animal, and it is a cow, and it is purple. And this purple cow has hearts for nostrils. So that is my purple cow. And this purple cow has been on my desk for the entire time that I have been making games and working as GG Games, and since I founded GG Games. And the reason for that is that I read a book. I read a book by Seth Godin called exactly Purple Cow. And the argument that he makes is that if you want a business to grow and to thrive and to be viral and to go somewhere, then your product has to be something so completely different that if you were driving out in the middle of the country and you came over the hill and you saw a single cow, black and white cow, you'd be like, hey, that's a cow. And then you notice, oh, there's another cow. And then there's another cow. And pretty soon there's cows everywhere and you stop noticing the cows. They don't exist anymore. They're just part of the landscape like trees. We don't notice trees anymore. And if you went over the hill and you saw this, you saw a purple cow, something that's so different and unique, then you would notice this. You will probably remember this if you're watching the video version because it's cute. It's different. It's a purple cow. It's so unique. And that purple cow and that uniqueness is exactly what you need to cause your products and your business to be something different. It's the Dollar Shave Club. It's Poopery. It's something so different. It's pentatonics, right? They're so different about them that as soon as you see them, you're like, that's a purple cow, and you don't forget. And you tell your friends, I saw a purple cow today. It's Starbucks. When Starbucks was Starbucks, now Starbucks is just a coffee shop and everybody has them. At first, though, it was a purple cow. It was something different. In my business, the way that I was a purple cow is that I made first meditation apps, then I made an app about gratitude, then I made a marriage app called Good Sex, Great Marriage. Now, those all became purple cows for me, and they were all doing very, very well for me. And that's the way I started my business, was by picking something and being a purple cow, just like I'm doing now with this podcast. And so find your own purple cow, whatever that means. Whatever it means to you and whatever it means to your audience, find a purple cow. Thank you for joining me once again at the intersection of games, life, and the pursuit of excellence. And if you like this video format, you got to let me know because I don't know if I like it or not. It's a little weird for me, and I'm sure you can tell. And until next time, just like with this video, I'm going to keep trying, improving, and repeating. Game Design Zen.